Hi, everyone, and welcome to Money and Me podcast by the Coin Republic. I am your host, Varuni Trivedi. I'm also the editor in chief of the Coin Republic. And as you guys are aware, we at the Coin Republic try to get some of the best people from the Web3, crypto, and blockchain space. And today we have with us yet another interesting guest. We have Slava, the CEO of AMLBot. Hi, Slava. It's my pleasure to have you on the podcast today. How are you doing?
Hi, Varuni. Thanks for having me. I'm doing well. Uh, Hopefully, our conversation will be sweet.
Absolutely. Looking forward to this interesting conversation that we're going to be having today. You obviously have a really diverse background when it comes to compliance, security. These are things that play a very crucial role in the Web3 crypto space. How has your professional journey been? What were you doing before AML bot? And how did you come across the idea of AML bot? What I want to know is the inception story behind AML bot and your thought process behind the firm. If you could walk us through that, and how did you find yourself in this rabbit hole of a space that we call Web3?
Oh, thank you. It's always a good question. So I can start from the very beginning. My education was in cybersecurity, and I supposed to be a cybersecurity specialist, I guess. However, maybe half of our uh, last grade was about cryptography as it is, and the cryptography is the basic for cryptocurrency that we know from the name of this industry, right? And the security, cybersecurity, and cryptocurrency is always go hand by hand from the very beginning. So it naturally leads me to the cryptocurrency space in 2017, I believe, more or less. And we, from the very beginning, faced with this problem with AML. I will maybe explain it a little bit later, just to make it short. The crypto landscape is a little crypto industry at all is a little bit unique in this case because users, even end users, need to understand what is AML, what is KYC. They face these procedures every time in centralized exchanges and so on and so forth. So we faced this problem in 2018 when one of our assets got blocked on, perhaps it was Bitfinex. I don't believe exactly, one of the popular checks back in the day. And then we faced this problem, and then we decided to solve this problem to create the tool for the internal usage. And very soon we understood this is something that market needs. So we made it publicly available. And since then, the journey of AMLBot started. It was 2019, the beginning of 2019. So yeah, this is the short story of inception.
Yeah, this was a short and crisp story about the inception of AML bot. And while narrating the story, you also managed to quote some words, of course, AML being one, KYC and cryptography. How is AML and KYC related to people getting onboarded into this space or adoption of this space at large? If you could describe what KYC essentially means, what AML means, and why is it important? Is it even important? Because there are a lot of narratives where people say that what's the point of decentralization when you have to do KYC? So, what is KYC? What is AML? How are they different? And why are they important in this space?
Yeah, this dilemma is quite challenging. I mean, the question you asked, it's not obviously your question. It's a question from the users. Why do we need KYC while this is decentralized space? And I don't have the exact answer to this question. What I have is something without which the whole industry wouldn't exist. We wouldn't get that much liquidity in the space if we don't follow those procedures. So KYC is essentially the verification of a human being. It's at some businesses, they even call it proof of humanity. So you need to prove yourself that the person behind the screen operate with that wallet is exactly the person, and the documents match with the face of this person. So basically matching the face with the document and with the registration papers is KYC as it is. While AML stands for anti-money laundering, and to be more precise, it's better to use acronym as KYT, which is Know Your Transaction. So basically, it's something that happens on behind of a user. User do not actively involve in this process. So in reality, the centralized exchange or any other exchange right now, decentralized exchange do the same. They basically screen your wallet through the blockchain analytics, through the databases, and try to understand whether this particular wallet was involved in crime happening on chain. It might be different type of crimes. It might be stolen funds. It might be buying forbidden products on the dark market. It might be money laundering, and etc. etc. So to summarize, know your KYC, which is know your customer, is a procedure where user actively involved in, because the user provides documents, his face photo, and so on and so forth, and the system match all of this data and either grant an access to the platform or not. And KYT or AML is a procedure on the back end of centralized exchange or any other of exchange, where they identify wallets and try to assess the risk of this particular wallet. I hope I made it clear.
That was, in fact, a pretty clear statement that you made, and it did simplify a lot of things, not just for me, I'm sure for our viewers as well. When we talk about KYC compliance, the KYC compliance landscape currently, in terms of centralized exchanges per se, are there some regions or some geographies or demographies that are doing it more actively or pursuing it more actively? If so, what are they? Why them? And how is the larger landscape looking like in terms of regulations? I know that a lot of governments have made KYC protocols mandatory for centralized exchanges, some, however, haven't. On a more global landscape, if we look at KYC compliance, how is the landscape looking like to you, and what are you expecting in the future from the KYC compliance side of things?
So globally, there are a few centers of cryptocurrency: Europe, United States, including North America, Asia, uh, EMA region, so on and so forth. So, as I understand it, the Europe was always in front of those movements. They issued a lot of regulatory acts, a lot of papers, and the rest of the world, as I understood it, more or less follow those regulatory standards and adapt in their regions. Right now, I would say most of the regions are adopted regulatory framework, uh, even though there are some regions that don't have enough paper and enough legal requirements from businesses. We would suggest them to still follow those procedures, because they will sooner or later implement them, and there are going to be a problem. And there is another aspect for that. Even though the particular region, the particular country doesn't have strict regulation, because the crypto and blockchain is borderless, you need to operate with other countries. You need to operate with the United States, you need to operate with Europe, with Asia, whatever it might be your clients. And if you have a lack of regulation, lack of KYC procedures, lack of AML procedures, sooner or later, those providers, those businesses will stop operating with you. Some of them even will not start to operate with you. So, nevertheless, the regional specification of regulatory frameworks, it's better to follow the most efficient ones. KYC AML procedure, I mean, the most efficient either from the Europe or the United States, and follow those requirements, because the crypto is global and will be difficult to communicate, as I said, with other businesses involved. And what is also specific, I already mentioned it, in the crypto space, that the crypto world is changing how we think about AML. Unlike traditional finance, where the most what user could face with is either get blocked at some bank and provide some extra papers. In a crypto world, as I said, individual person, small businesses need to understand how it works. It's kind of shifting paradigm when the end users and small businesses also actively involved in AML KYC procedures. It's something new, because let's say you are small businesses in a traditional finance. You have some small shop. All of these errands, all of these problems, the bank provide for you. All you need is just to operate with your business. In the crypto world, even the individual person, I'm not talking even about small businesses, even the individual person need to understand how it works, at least at the basic level. If you have more than, let's say, $1,000 at your wallet, it's something unique, and that's what AMLBot does. And we have a lot of similar application in the industry, and they appeared more and more. There is a downside for that bad actors can access those tools as well and test their shady schemes. So this is a big challenge for those democratic tools. From one hand, we need to provide and enhance, we need to provide them for the end users and small businesses, thus enhance the whole industry. From the other hand, we need to combat with the bad actors that also has access to those tools and can use them in a bad way.
When we talk about enterprises, a lot of enterprises are not as keen on your AML compliance or your KYC compliance. Now, why the friction from enterprises or entrepreneurs? And when we look at implementing KYC protocols or AML compliance, what are some of the key challenges that you guys face or that enterprises or entrepreneurs face while implementing them? Is it friction from customers or is it friction from entrepreneurs? If you could explain the ground reality a little better in terms of these compliances, that would be great.
Good question. And the answer, it is both. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
from one hand, it's a friction from the end user perspective. because you create additional extra steps which cut your user base essentially. Instead of buying or selling some NFTs or whatever ERC20 tokens, Bitcoin, firstly, they need to pass through this KYC process. So most of the people are lazy, right? They don't like to do extra steps. Also, they need to provide their personal data, which is crazy thing if you think about it, because you need to provide to someone your passport, your residential address, all of your privacy credentials, and who knows, in a few years, in a few months, this database get leaked, and all of a sudden you have this problem with the bad actors. This is from end user's perspective. And from the business perspective, it's something that requires extra efforts, programmers' efforts, business efforts, operational efforts, payment to providers like us or our competitors. And if you think about it, it does not provide any extra income for your business. So that's the problem. You need to spend on an infrastructure that won't helpful for your business. In reality, it just reduce your revenue. So unfortunately, that's the world where we now.
Absolutely, numbers count for more than losses. So, I have another question for you. You've shown keen interest in zero knowledge proofs. What are zero knowledge proofs? Why are they important? And what sort of a role do they play in compliance? Do you see ZKPs sort of transforming AML and KYC in the DeFi space? And of course, if you could explain how ZKPs function, what exactly are ZKPs, that would be great.
I believe on the market there is a huge misconception of zero knowledge, because there are a lot of zero knowledge, so-called zero knowledge protocols which are essentially layer 2 solution using zero knowledge technology to effectively submit their transaction into the mainnet, to Ethereum, for example, to effectively roll up their transaction into the Ethereum. While zero knowledge is the technology that helps you to prove something without revealing this fact. So, as I said previously, in a classical way, as we have right now for KYC, you need to provide the full document, you need to provide the whole credentials, and all of this data are stored in a third-party provider to someone you don't know them, and you don't know their security level, and so on and so forth. So zero knowledge is promising because imagine you can provide the fact that you're the citizen of that particular country. You are older than 80 years, and a lot of facts about you without revealing the actual data. And this is quite promising, and this is something that a lot of companies, especially in DeFi space, are working right now. And for example, we work with one of the real zero knowledge protocol, privacy preserving protocol, Panther, and we establish compliance framework based on zero knowledge proofs. And the most challenging part of this, it's quite difficult from a technology perspective, from math perspective, from gas fee perspective, because there are a lot of computation need to be done before matching those proofs. But nevertheless, I believe this technology significantly transformed especially the landscape of ML and the landscape of privacy. And this technology might converge those two different things. It will take some time. It won't happen in a year or two, or even maybe even 5 years, because there is another aspect. The regulator need to understand how it works and need to adapt their regulatory framework to zero knowledge paradigm. And this thing might take even more time than technology itself.
So it does seem like ZK proofs are a big opportunity and yet a challenge for us to adopt, especially as regulators try to understand it more. Now, when we talk about opportunities and challenges, what sort of challenges are you seeing in the market as of now? You already briefly spoke about that in the question that I asked you before, but in terms of opportunities, what are some of the key opportunities that you see in this space as an entrepreneur yourself that a lot of other entrepreneurs can maybe materialize on, or that are big dumps of opportunities that entrepreneurs can take away from in the Web3 space?
Uh, you mean in general Web3 space, right? Not KYC ML.
We need to see the intersection of KYC, AML, and the Web3 space, of course, but you're free to talk about both.
Yeah, in general, Web3 space gives a quick access, probably the quickest access to audience, to your end users. And because the nature of Web3 space, those users are already with the money. So you get the quickest access to those who possess some money, which is great opportunity for businesses, for startups. Of course, it leads to a lot of scams and failed startups and failed new businesses. Nevertheless, as any opportunity, it has their own downside. From the regulatory perspective, from the compliance perspective, this industry at the very beginning, and as I said, this industry has their own uniqueness, which separate it from the traditional finance. And there are a lot of opportunities for developers, for engineers, for scientists who works with math, who work with artificial intelligence, who works with algorithm to simplify those tools that exist already in a market. And why do we need to simplify it? Just to simplify the user journey and thus enhance the whole industry. Because as we understood right now, at this stage of development, the industry will require compliance at any level, whether it's centralized or decentralized applications. Nevertheless, the regulator will require compliance. So the easiest we do it, the better will be for the rest of the industry. So this is the biggest opportunity.
When we talk about artificial intelligence, do you see an opportunity in terms of AML, KYC, when clubbed with artificial intelligence? Of course, it has been a big buzzword the last couple of years, but is there any root to the cause itself? And where does AI fit when we talk about compliance and regulations? Do you see any fit in the entire narrative for AI?
So basically, KYC is document recognition and matching document with the photo or video of the human being. So at the very beginning of facial recognition, document recognition, AI was there. So the hype of AI happened like a few years ago with ChatGPT, because AI all of a sudden became available for the end user. But all of those years, AI startups work with face recognition, text recognition, document recognition. So I would even say the KYC as we see it, it's right now, wouldn't exist without AI or machine learning, if you want to simplify it. And it's not even an opportunity, it's something that already happened. So the opportunity here, I would say, it's not even an opportunity. It would be a constant battle between deepfake, faking images, faking photos, and recognition of those fakes. So this constant battle seems to be endless, and who knows who gonna win eventually. Right now, we face, since we have KYC service as well, we face very well prepared fake documents, and we need to somehow adapt our AI algorithm to detect it. And there is also, apart from the constant battle and opportunity in this battle, the another opportunity is I can reveal is special some documents in countries, let's say China or Arabic countries. Their scripture is a little bit difficult for the majority of KYC providers, while the same ChatGPT can easily read them like in a second. So which means that AI building for the it's a language model building for totally different tasks now can work with these documents as well. And for sure, AI will significantly simplify the face recognition, document recognition process in the future. And it might also work for simplifying user journey.
Now, moving back to AMLBot and your role at the firm, what are some of the big milestones for AMLBot in the coming years? And are you guys expecting to drop anything interesting for users at this point? Also, I do want to ask you about. You mentioned that AMLBot has been in the market since 2017, if I'm not wrong. So you guys have had your fair share of ups and downs when it comes to the bear market, the bull market situation. How has that been for the company at large? Were there any big sort of drawdowns for AMLBot during the bear market? How have the last couple of years looked like for you and AMLBot? Because for a lot of entrepreneurs, the space wasn't as bright as it usually is in the last couple of years.
All right, thank you. Just a small amendment. We existed from 2019. And answering your question, the big milestone. So we are finalizing our vision of one-stop compliance solution for small to medium businesses. And what does it mean? That the business come into AMLBot and cover all of their needs in terms of compliance. Now we are polishing this product as the whole set of services and moving toward enterprise. We already have a few low enterprise clients, and we're moving toward big enterprise clients, because we believe this concept of one-stop compliance tool might be useful for big enterprises as well. Another big milestone and interesting tool we are working right now, we are constantly enhancing blockchain investigation, our blockchain investigation tool, which is not only about compliance, it's more about helping to recover stolen funds or to recover blocked funds. And in this particular area, the AI might bring us some breakthroughs. It might help to connect dots in a path of stolen funds, and we gonna reveal it by the end of this year. And answering your question about bear market, bull market, unlike DeFi protocols that, for example, sell some NFTs or ERC20 tokens, we're more about, if we might call it, classical crypto assets like Bitcoin, Ethereum, USDT mostly. So for us, those downtrends are not that significant. So we do feel the drop of transaction, but not significantly. When everyone see those surge of Bitcoin price and meme coins, is mostly about so-called degen economy. While AMLBot worked with the exchanges, wallets, and their needs in ML, KYT, KYC is constantly growing. Nevertheless, downtrends. Because in general, if you look at the charts, if you look at the industry, you will see that industry constantly grows, and those downtrends is just temporary lowering the volume. If you compare, for example, 2016 and nowadays, you will see that volumes are way bigger. Nevertheless, whatever bear market cycle you will get. I believe that I answered your question, right?
Yes, you absolutely did. And I agree that there is more optimism to the space than we see in the space for sure. You mentioned about crypto recovery cases, a few of those anyway. I do want to know what sort of a role does AMLBot play when it comes to these cases? And if you can talk about a few significant cases where you've had a huge impact, not just on the client's compliance strategy or security, but on the space at large. If you can maybe share a few case studies or client cases that were really interesting for AMLBot or were a big challenge for the firm.
Yeah, when we talk about recovery cases, those are most difficult ones because in majority of the cases, not in majority, in a lot of the cases, uh, thieves are professionals. They use mixtures, they use unknown exchanges and transfer stolen assets into the USDT or into the cash, and it's hard to catch them. However, there are still a lot of cases where hackers, as soon as they steal some assets, they try to convert them into USDT through centralized exchanges or bridges or decentralized exchanges, and in those cases we can help. So what we basically do, we try to reveal the whole path from the stolen wallet, from the wallet that been robbed to the final destination. And it's not that easy because robbers use different patterns. They try to mix their path through different points. And that's what we do. We restore the whole path of the assets, and we find the final destination either on centralized exchanges or decentralized exchanges where KYC procedures help us, because KYC procedure essentially connect the wallet with the person, the document he provided before. If you remember, we're talking about what KYC is. So whenever the bad actor stole some 200K in a victim and tried to convert those 200K on centralized exchanges, in most of the cases, they do it portionally in different places. So we can relate the person with those transactions. And it takes some time. And hopefully, not all of them use mixtures, because mixture is something that give you a bad mark. So it's also not that easy after the mixture to convert your money into cash, because all of the centralized exchanges and decentralized exchanges does not want to work with the money coming after the mixture. So one of the interesting case I would say was in India. It was the first case with 100K being stolen and recovered in the whole India region, from what we know. Why do we know it? Because we worked closely. Oh, this is another aspect of our service. We work closely with law enforcement agencies, help them to understand what happened on chain, give them the report, and follow up the rest of the case with them. Because obviously law enforcement agency didn't learn the blockchain right in their schools. They need those knowledge from companies like us and agencies like us. So we worked closely together with the law enforcement in Bangalore, India, and according to their knowledge and our knowledge, it was the first case of recovered crypto. And there are also a lot of such cases where we closely work with the either European law enforcement agencies or United States, or sometimes we even work directly with centralized exchanges, while law enforcement agency just give us the final resolution that this case is as it is, and we go with this paper to the centralized exchanges and help victims to recover their funds. And there are cases from 50K being stolen to 2 million K from individual, because we work with individuals in these cases. Sometimes we help just to block stolen funds on centralized exchanges, and then the victim, together with law enforcement, try to get back their funds. Hopefully I answered your question.
You did, Slava, and in fact, great work there, working with so many different entities, and yet being able to get out the desired result. So kudos to you and your team for all the recover funds that would have otherwise been lost in translation, of course. My final and last question to you, Slava, would be that you've had a significant career in cybersecurity, in crypto compliance, and of course, crypto compliance is a rather tricky space. A lot of entrepreneurs struggle with compliance and regulation. When we talk about the crypto space particularly, do you have any pieces of advice for startups or young or new entrepreneurs regarding navigating better in terms of the regulatory landscape in the crypto space? Of course, with you being a subject matter expert on AML KYC compliance, if you could talk about that as well as any other lessons that you've learned in your journey that has spanned across almost a decade now, I suppose.
I would suggest consider. Uh, I would suggest for the startup, for the young entrepreneur, to consider AML KYC procedures as as an insurance. Uh, and if you look at this from this perspective, you just implement the smallest possible steps toward regulation, and you kind of protect your business from a lot of problems that might occur. For example, you're a young startup, you created swapping service, and all of a sudden through your service went 100,000 US dollars being stole for someone, and you became involved in this process, working, answering law enforcement questions, answering regulatory questions instead of doing business. So it was to create the barrier at the very beginning of your business and implement KYT procedures. And whenever something bad coming into your addresses, you just either reject it or block those users and never work with them. It would be much better than later on has all of this to have all of those problems with the local police, for example. So if you look at this problem as an insurance, it might simplify your way toward the whole regulation. And what is cool about this, that the current regulators let new businesses to do the smallest possible steps. They do not require from you being a startup the same compliance measures as they required from, let's say, Coinbase. You might start with the easiest steps, and together with growing of your business, you will grow your knowledge in compliance. You will create better protection for your business from the bad actors. That would be my main suggestion.
That is for sure a really great advice, Slava. And with this, we come to the end of our episode today. Thank you so much, Slava, for joining us and for that super insightful conversation. I'm sure that this helps out a lot of entrepreneurs and businesses, especially when it comes to navigating the treacherous space that the crypto Web3 space is. Of course, it isn't as scary as we make it sound, more or less. But without proper research and education, anyone can get stuck in this space amid bad actors, like you rightly mentioned. And I love the analogy where you compared KYCML with how an insurance essentially works. So I'll definitely take a note of that. And with that, once again, thank you so much, Slava, for joining us. And big shout out to you and the team behind AMLBot.